welcome to the Tech and Sports Podcast, episode 15. I'm Alex Radu, and I've got the glorious Mandy Kovacs with me.
Hello.
Unfortunately, this week, we are without our leader and savior, Paula Del Nobledo, who is off gallivanting in Paris.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, me too. Not so much about the Paris part, but whatever.
What?
This week, we'll be tackling the debate on instant video replay, plus all the sports technology news from the past week. And we would just like to remind the fine people listening to subscribe to the Tech and Sports Podcast on iTunes and Google Play, and please leave us a rating. And if you're really feeling special, please leave us a review. It all really helps us with growing this show.
And we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, that as well. So sit back and relax, because 2 of your third stringers are coming into the game. All right, so for the news stories this week, the top story starts with the controversy in the world of soccer. FIFA president Gianni Infantino, I hope I said that right, has announced his support of video replay in next year's World Cup. So this is going to be our topic of debate later as well, kind of about all this. But this is the big story from the last week of video replay not being consistent in the world of soccer. So this is a really big deal for just FIFA in general. So Infantino spoke out this week after the U.S. national men's soccer team failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup because of a phantom goal in a game against Panama and Costa Rica. Referees awarded Panama what ended up being the game-winning goal, despite reviews showing that the ball never actually crossed the line. With their win, Panama moves on to the World Cup, eliminating the U.S. So granted, I mean, all technology aside, the U.S. screwed up in so many different ways.
I know. How do you feel about that, Alex?
Whatever. The U.S. was an embarrassment this entire qualifying, so this isn't the only problem. I mean, sure, yeah, this would have helped them limp into the World Cup and get killed there. Whatever. So the big story here is the fact that FIFA is willing to incorporate this type of video replay. So what do you think about something like this fixing the game?
I mean, that's huge. And I'm a proponent of video replay. And especially when it comes to important qualifying matches like this, like, you don't want your team or your country to be eliminated on a fluke like that. Like, that's just stupid. So, I mean, it's about time. FIFA is corrupt, though, so I don't know how well that'll work, but
yeah, plus
we'll hope for the best.
Plus, like, all the complications of, it's not as easy as, like, oh, hey, the NHL's implementing it. Easy, or whatever. There's so many soccer leagues around the world.
Yeah.
It's tough to, like, I mean, some might, some won't.
Right, it'll be hard to make this uniform, that's true, but
hey, anything will help.
Yeah, it's a start.
Alright, so moving on, sticking with soccer for a little bit, both Germany's Bayern Munich and Italy's Juventus football clubs are getting on board with virtual and augmented reality. So Bayern Munich has launched an augmented reality feature on their iOS app that allows fans to make team captain Manuel Neuer or forward Arjen, I'm butchering these names, Robin, appear in front of them wherever they are, and they can then jump into the shot to take a picture with their stars, which is pretty cool. We're always talking about the fan engagement at all these games and what people can do to actually make you want to go to a game rather than watch it on your beautiful 70-inch screen TV. Fans can even customize and choose what jerseys the players appear in. And for Juventus, the Italian giant has launched a virtual reality app that lets fans get a behind-the-scenes look at the team as they prep for games and train on and off days. Users can even put themselves in the middle of the team's championship celebration last year. So far, the app has 4 episodes and is initially available on Oculus devices, which is owned by Facebook, but it'll be coming soon to Google's Cardboard, which is interesting because the Oculus isn't exactly like a very affordable piece of technology, but Google's Daydream is a lot cheaper, and you just need a smartphone for it, not like a hardcore PC that can run Oculus Rift.
Okay, interesting.
So that's definitely something, because right now that's not accessible at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's so expensive. I would never buy one.
It would be like, okay, if you want to do this Juventus thing, here, spend all this money on an Oculus Rift and a PC that can run it.
Maybe Juventus fans are rich. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's a great idea, though. And I love that sports is kind of taking over this VR and AR space, right? I mean, it started really gaining popularity last year with Pokemon Go. So I'm kind of glad it's gone into this sector.
Yeah, I think the true value of AR and VR is going to be in events like sports.
Yeah.
And once you can figure out how to be at a sporting event or like a concert or just anything, and you just like, let's say you pay $50 and you can be ringside in the NBA championship or on the glass or front row World Cup. Like, that could be really cool, a really cool experience.
For sure.
So once all that technology is really discovered, I think that's where the future really lies in this tech.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the NBA. It's officially the first U.S. sports league to launch an augmented reality game this week with an app that allows fans to play virtual Pop-A-Shot. So this app uses ARKit technology, which is launched with iOS 11 just last month, to create the augmented reality experience. So all users have to do is put their phone on a flat surface and start flicking the ball on their screen with their finger towards the basket. Fans can record and share their scores or see how they compare to the global leaderboard. The app captures a player's surroundings and gives fans an authentic NBA backboard and court, and they can even choose their favorite team, like the best team in the world, the Lakers, to brand the environment they're playing in. And it's available for free on the App Store for both Apple and Android.
You know what? I remember Facebook Messenger did that last year, maybe even like 2 years ago.
Was that augmented reality, though? Or was that just a fun game?
I guess it wasn't
like
augmented reality. But, like, that's exactly what it is. So I don't really think it's that special. But, hey, I mean, if they're the first league to do it, that's got to be something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just, I mean, we talk about apps all the time.
Yeah.
And just, again, fan engagement.
Yeah, everyone's getting on board. It is important.
Like, even if it's kind of, not the, like, most exciting thing for you or I, to a bunch of other people it is when they're just,
that's fair.
at a game. And
we're a little biased now.
Yeah.
Nothing excites us anymore.
All right, so going down under, Perth Stadium in Perth, Australia, has unveiled a 15,000 LED lighting system, which is considered the biggest lighting system in the world. It features halo roof lights and two 340 square meter super screens inside and can project any color and any color pattern you can possibly imagine. The outside of the stadium has 1.4 kilometers of LED lights as well and 43 illuminated arches to really maximize fan experiences. The stadium opens on January 21st, a day after my birthday.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
A lot of lights.
That's a lot of lights.
Right?
I actually highly implore everybody to just Google the stadium and see what it looks like.
It's beautiful.
Because it is gorgeous.
I know.
It is special.
I almost want to go to Australia just to see this and see it lit up.
I imagine this is rugby. I'm pretty. Rugby
yeah, rugby. I think football/soccer can be played there too.
Yeah. Regardless, this stadium is really something special. I think this gives us insight into what we can expect moving forward with new stadiums, especially in North America. You see all these new stadiums being built, especially in Los Angeles right now with the new everything. And especially with the Olympics coming in North America, and this is something really cool. And I don't know if this is more energy efficient. It sounds like it's not. But I don't know how
LED bulbs, though.
Yeah,
so
LED bulbs. That's true. But there's 15,000 of them.
I don't know how much money they're actually saving.
All right, so one more app story today. Because, it's really a cool idea that can be used in the sporting world. A new startup called Purple will let readers text with their favorite creators for a small fee. The new app, which is in private beta right now, allows creators to make their own channel where they can curate specific content and chat with people who subscribe to them. Creators set their own subscription prices, and they start at $3 a month. Sounds kind of confusing, but it's really aimed at journalists and news organizations because news consumption is no longer one-sided. It basically sounds like a more curated Twitter because journalists, for example, can post their own stories and stories they find interesting on their channel and interact with readers. So readers can message the creators with any questions or feedback, and in theory, they'd get a text back right away, and it would turn into a conversation. So kind of imagine being able to text with your favorite sports reporter about the game. Maybe you'd be able to highlight something that they didn't notice and appears in a story or something. So, Mandy, how do you envision something like this really changing sports media?
Yeah, I don't know. I threw this in because it was just a really cool idea, right? I mean, like think of being able, me texting one of my favorite sports reporters, like Bruce Arthur or something, and just be like, yo, did you see this in the Leafs game? Or hey, I saw that you wrote about this, and I think that's really cool, and maybe we can branch off and do something else with that. I don't know how much it'll change, but I think it can really contribute to real-time conversations and maybe getting to know writers and maybe helping them grow their fan bases and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. The problem is it just sounds like a more, I don't know if elitist is the right word, Twitter, of you kind of need to pay to get into it, but it still kind of has those same problems of Twitter. Of what, if you could just message anyone anything, that's not great.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't it cut back on trolls though? Because would a troll really be willing to pay $5 a month just to get on an app just to talk crap to a writer that they don't like?
I think $5 a month is a very low fee for doing that for some
Okay,
people.
but LeBron won't pay for premium Spotify, and I also won't. So, I mean, what does that tell you about the cheapness of certain people?
Well, it was Pandora, and he's getting an account for free.
Okay, but he also doesn't want to pay for it. So I feel like this would deter
Yeah,
enough
I mean,
people.
It would deter. So I think it would deter a fair amount.
Yeah.
but not like a lot. Like there's still going to be a handful. The loud minority, as you would say. So I don't know. This is it sounds cool, and I think it has a really interesting way to change media and sports media and how we interact. Hey, and if it turns out to be better than Twitter, and we can all stop using Twitter, I'm all for it.
That's true. So, well, I mean, it's in beta right now, so we'll follow up with that if it gets published, I guess.
So for our last story of the day, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, is getting in on the Amazon headquarters sweepstakes. So if you haven't heard about this, Amazon they're deciding to open a second headquarters, and was just like, hey, pitch us on your city.
Yeah, turn into a whole selling thing.
Yeah, so which is actually a really cool idea. It really brings, I think, awareness of really what cities are doing and really cool stuff. We hope Toronto gets it because, Toronto's great. But so Michael Jordan is looking to try and convince Jeff Bezos to put a second headquarters in Charlotte.
Which is not actually that surprising.
And if you didn't know, Michael Jordan is the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets and is worth about $1.4 billion. Mm-hmm. I don't think this will pan out. I mean, it's Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, someone did a ranking of all the top 10 cities that could potentially get the Amazon headquarters. Mm-hmm. Charlotte was ranked 8th, so, I mean, they were in the top 10. Fair. But, I mean, when it's coming after places like Austin or Dallas, so, I mean, even Toronto, which I know we're biased because we're from here, but Toronto's a very forward-thinking city. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 8th place is good enough.
We've written numerous articles about how Toronto is the hidden secret, best kept secret of North America when it comes to technology. So we're hoping, the Canadian government, specifically the city of Toronto, they're doing really cool things with technology. So hopefully Amazon comes here. Yeah. So I don't know how this just turned into a pitch for Toronto, but Michael Jordan, get in line. Yeah,
you also just turned against Michael Jordan. That's fine. I'm shocked.
Toronto struck. So that's it for the stories this week. So Mandy, the debate.
Right. Yeah, so because we're missing our beautiful leader, Paolo Donobledo, we're going to skip Impossible Trivia today and move right into our debate. And as we mentioned earlier, we're going to discuss instant video replay because it's been at the center of several controversies over the last week in a couple different sports. So first, as we mentioned in our news segment earlier, was the U.S. national men's soccer team debacle that saw them miss qualifying for the 2018 World Cup for the first time in more than 30 years because of a phantom goal that would not have counted if there had been video replay in the match. Now, then there was also the wild Chicago Cubs versus Washington Nationals playoff game last week, where there was a video review of a pickoff attempt at first base during the 8th inning. The throw by Cubs catcher Wilson Contreras wasn't in time, and Nats base runner Jose Lobaton was ruled safe at first. But then the Cubs challenged the play, and after review, the challenge was upheld, the inning was over, and Chicago won, and ultimately the series in the next inning. So, I mean, obviously Washington fans were not exactly happy with that, with a lot of them saying that video replay is killing sports, especially at a moment when it was not visible to, the naked eye that this pickoff attempt was successful, so why should we listen to technology? So the question of the day, is video replay actually good for the game, or is it killing sports?
Well, Mandy.
Yes, Alex.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate here because you and I agree that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the opposing view, but I want to hear why you think video replay should be a thing.
Right. Well, I mean, if anyone that's listened to our podcast before, I've been a pretty pro robot umpire in baseball type person for quite a while. And so I kind of think that translates into this discussion because looking at that Cubs-Nats game, I can totally understand why Washington National fans were not happy. But, and if that had happened to the Jays, I would have been super upset too. But at the end of the day, it was the right call. So, I mean, I don't know how upset you can really be over that when it was the right decision. And I think anyone that hates that really is just too biased towards their own team.
Yeah.
And that can be a problem.
Yeah.
And so, for example, speaking of that, this past Saturday was the Leafs versus Habs game. And for the first time in 14 games, in something like 3 years, the Leafs beat the Habs. So yay, congratulations, Leafs. But so besides Austin Matthews being a superhero or possible alien demigod, we're not really sure. He might actually be from space and is just an amazing human being. But that's my own little rant. The Leafs won because of a video review of the team's third and tying goal, which then forced overtime. There was a huge scrum in front of Carey Price with a bunch of players trying to shove the puck into the net. And at first, the referee definitively waved off the goal. But new Leaf Patrick Marleau kept pointing to the goal line, so Mike Babcock challenged the play. And in the video replay, you can clearly see that the puck does cross the goal line before bouncing back out again. So after the review, the goal was actually allowed, and the Leafs went on to win. So, I mean, the moral of the story is that goal wouldn't have counted 30 years ago when there was no video replay. But it was a legitimate goal, and it does deserve to count. And, I mean, it changed the face of the game, but that was changing the face of the game for the better.
Now, eliminating any potential bias you have with this argument because you picked the Leafs.
Of course.
The goal with Marleau, it crossed.
Yes.
The ref just missed it.
Yes.
The reason why Marleau was like, hey, you should challenge this is because he saw it go over.
Yeah.
And was like, this just straight was a goal. It's not you should maybe challenge that.
Yeah. He knew that it crossed the line, and he made sure that his coach knew that, and that's why they challenged it. Even though the referee was standing right over the net, I mean, with the whole scrum thing there, I mean, it's hard to miss that.
Yeah, human error.
Right. So, I mean, like, that's my whole point with all of this, is that human error, like, a lot of people defend human error and say that's, like, authentic and that's why it should be kept in the game and that's why technology shouldn't be used. But, I mean, I just think that's stupid. Like, you're clearly overlooking the fact that technology makes the game better. I don't know why anyone would hate it. And, like, I totally get the point that it slows down the game. And I totally get that. And it did slow down the game to a little bit. So, I mean, maybe instead of thinking technology and, I guess, specifically video replay in this instant should be used in every single circumstance in the game, maybe we should kind of look at, using it only for scoring chances, scoring opportunities. Like the NHL had a lot of issues with reviewing like offsides in the playoffs last season. And so I totally understand that for something, I don't want to say stupid because, I mean, offsides do matter to an extent. Mm-hmm. That's why it's a rule in the game. But like looking over every offside challenge or rule, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Well, so I really like what you said about that naked eye kind of concept. And that's kind of the argument I'm going to take with this. Is not necessarily saying no, like I feel like this isn't a black and white argument of you either have video replay or you don't.
That's true.
There has to be restrictions on it because let me paint a picture here. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, Team 1, let's call them the Anaheim Ducks, scores the game-winning goal with a few minutes to spare in the third period on Team 2. Let's call them the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hey, wow, biases.
The Leafs call a challenge on the goal because maybe it was offsides about 10 seconds before the goal. Mm-hmm. And the only reason that this goal is overturned is because that player was maybe a couple millimeters off the line. Like, it's like, in other words, he was offsides, but to the naked eye, he looks onsides. A ref would never catch that unless the ref just like missaw it and then made the bad call.
Yeah.
So the NHL, they tried this season to do something a little bit where now if you challenge and it's wrong, you get a penalty.
Yeah.
So this is a really risky challenge because if it's wrong, the Leafs are down 1, Game 7, and have a penalty. But
well, actually, I'm pretty sure that happened in a game this past weekend as well. Chicago Blackhawks challenged something, didn't work, and then they got a penalty and then ended up losing the game.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you see, like, that is kind of like it proves it's good, but it's not the complete kind of, it's not great because this is like such an awful call. Like, especially if the Leafs go on to beat the Ducks here. Like, it's just, like, that's so, that's exactly what would happen, though, to any team, then. Because that's exactly what happens in sports controversy. So the momentum of this game would just be diminished by, we know this would take 10 minutes of replays.
Yeah, absolutely.
If even that. And then they would be arguing whether or not an incremental offsides 10 seconds before the goal should have been a goal. Especially if Team 2 wins, this would be a super controversial finish for the league. You go back to the NHL playoffs last season with Ryan Kessler and the Ducks against the Edmonton Oilers, where video replay kind of shows that Kessler was holding on to Talbot's pad when they scored a goal, but it's also like up to interpretation.
Okay, well,
of like
I
what
remember
that is.
that.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, did that lead to a goal?
No,
I don't remember that. But
they called it a goal. Edmonton wanted to be like, no, it was goalie interference. They reviewed it and were like, that's still a goal. Like he wasn't.
But wasn't that goalie interference though? He was holding onto the pad of Talbot as he fell.
But it just shows there's still human error with technology.
Yeah.
Like that completely. And I mean, you know what? The Oilers, whatever. The Ducks deserve that win. But, which is such a terrible argument. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was just bad.
But the right here is we have to argue that ultimately the right call made. And if it is the game better for it? Was the game of hockey made get better, or baseball, or any sport, soccer, we talk about anything. Would it be better because technology made a call that humans would never have made? It's simply an impossible call to catch, and if it's so incremental that you cannot see it with the naked eye, should you be calling it? Like, you look at video replay in this Panama-Costa Rica game where Panama ends up winning because that goal just you look at the video replay and the goal didn't go in. It is, you need to look at it for 5 seconds and you're like, that wasn't a goal.
So that was even like double human error because not only did he miss an obvious call, like he just like completely screwed everything up.
Yeah. So, and granted, like again, I'm not going to defend Team USA because of their garbage performances, but the argument here is if technology makes a call that can't be seen with the naked eye, then we shouldn't bother interrupting the flow of the game for it. We shouldn't be forced to wait for 10 minutes so that the refs and the league can just decide if that was a goal, because if you zoom in as much as possible, you can just maybe see that goal went over, or that was offsides, or someone just hit the base, whatever, any sport. And it just saps the energy out of the intense situation when replays take so long. Because this is the thing, is I don't think that video replay should be taken out entirely, but I think you have to add restrictions to it.
Yeah, so I can maybe get behind that.
The MLB has made a rule where if the call can't be overturned in 120 seconds, then they have to let the play continue. Oh. I think that's a great rule. Every league should implement it. Video replays are great for calls that actually can be fixed. Human error is natural. They're part of the game. And we should try to correct these human errors whenever we can, but not at the cost of like 10 minutes of the last 5 minutes. Like if the last 5 minutes of a hockey game lasting 30 minutes because of a 10-minute replay.
And I agree to that to an extent, but I mean, if technology at the end of the day is going to be making the right call, follows the rules, like really simplifies the game to an extent, then I mean, I think it should be used, especially in a playoff type of situation like the Cubs and Nationals. Right? It made the right call, and it was in a very important game.
I don't disagree, but it's you have to go to restrictions. Like I think this 120 seconds, or even if you wanted to make it 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes, I think it's really good because it forces them to just make a decision instead of like 2 minutes to review a play should be enough. Yeah. Like especially in a playoff game when you have an entire war room of people looking at this call, it should take only 120 seconds.
Right, yeah. You don't have one person reviewing.
Yeah, you don't have the ref just looking at it at an iPad on the ice or the field or wherever. They have an entire war room. Like each of these leagues have entire systems set in place for this entire division set in place for this specific reason.
Yeah.
So I think you have to just limit it because if that call with the Nationals and the Cubs, if they can't like again, that's not a call made by the naked eye. Like if they can't decide that in 120 seconds, then like I mean, yeah, I guess ultimately it's the right call, but so is the right call if someone scores a goal 10 seconds after being offsides in hockey, even though that 10 seconds is a lifetime. Yeah. And it was a millimeter offside.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think definitely in hockey, too, there should be a time limit like that, especially when it comes to offsides that result in a goal, right? Like, I feel like goals should not be challenged if that offside happened, like 20, 30 seconds ago, or even a shift ago, with completely different players. That goal should not be able to be overturned because of that offside.
Yeah, so I guess the argument for me ultimately is video replay, not bad. But restrictions, very good.
Right. And I mean, last point before we go, what could limit video replay? Putting sensors in pucks, putting sensors around baseball plates, putting sensors in goal creases, putting sensors around the net. All of that could completely speed up the game while also keeping technology accurate and relevant.
I don't know if this is cost effective, but why not put a sensor on everything?
Yes.
A sensor within every foot of grass. Like, let's just go really hard on it. Again, that's probably not cost effective, but
No.
sensors everywhere, I agree.
Right? I mean, they're building sensors into skates and cleats and stuff anyways, so,
Yeah.
like, it is almost a feasible thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. All right. Well, cool. That's it for Tech and Sports this week. If you liked our podcast, subscribe on iTunes or Google Play. You can also follow us on Twitter. I'm at Mandy V. Kovacs, and he is at Alex T. Radu. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.